What's up, guys? Okay. For you guys that don't know, I live in a van, and let me tell you something. There's one question that I get a lot. People want to know simply would I recommend it, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat, no. I would tell you no without hesitation, but I would also say only if you have a specific reason would I say you should give it a go. Like, for example, maybe you're on a vacation, you want to sightsee. It has some advantages there. Maybe you have no choice, and it has some advantages there, doesn't it? Because if you got no choice, you got to do what you got to do. And maybe you want to experience what it would be like if there was a real zombie apocalypse. Yeah, this is probably as close as I can ever picture what the world would be like if everything just imploded upon itself. You know what I'm saying? So I would say definitely not highly recommended in general, but for specific reasons, yes, it can have its advantages. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some positives and some really cool things that come from living in a van. Like I would say, you definitely get to know yourself really well. And I mean really well. You can use your imagination to really interpret that however you want. But you have to get used to living a whole different way in whole different circumstances without a lot of the creature comforts that you're probably used to and accustomed to. It's one of those things that you just have to get used to. And for the strong-minded person, maybe you can do it if you got strong will and all that, and you're used to being in survivalist type situations. But for the average person, I tell you right now, you will not make it through 2 days of doing it. You will really just go, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And if you're someone like many people who have other options, you will definitely resort to those options very quickly. But if you're someone who doesn't have options, it is something you have to do. It's amazing what you're able to do when you have to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you're capable of so much more than you actually realize until you have to be put into that situation where you have no choice but to overcome all those things that you thought there's no way in the world I could ever do it. So let me tell you, I have really grown a lot from this experience. And I would say that's in the positive side of things. You really get a sense of enlightenment and growth because at the end of the day, you are completely out of your comfort zone and you're completely really having to figure out how to live a more minimalist life. And if something you've never done, the simplistic side of things is something you got to get used to. You got to make choices, the hard choices. You've got limited power, you've got limited resources, you've got limited water, and all these type of things. When you're out in the road in the middle of nowhere, camping in the middle of the woods in your van, you have to make a lot of choices. And depending on your situation, again, there's levels to the van life game. Let's be real. Some people aren't really doing it hard. Those people who have the big, vans with tons of home creature comforts where it's really literally no different than being in their apartment. Those people, they're not the majority. Most of us don't have those setups, as you can tell. Some of us actually don't have that, just, oh my gosh, I'm just really living in a mobile hotel room, because really some people's it's just like an apartment. Some of these van life builds are insane and incredible. And then you've got some that are just functional and they do what you need it to do, like mine, which I've done myself. I've got my multi-purpose bed that I built here, my bench, my table, my cooking top, my bed. It serves a million functions. It's functional. It does a lot of things. I built all. And we're back. Camera crash. These are all part of the things you deal with when, again, living in this sort of environment. But, I've got my creature comforts. I got the things I need because, as you guys do know, I do entertainment, I do videos, I film, I do all these things. So I have everything I need to do those sort of things. I have access to the tools that I need, and that's very important. I've got fans, I've got a stovetop to cook on, and, these are necessity things that I have, but they're not fancy ones. They're just things to, again, just get me, through what I need to get through to continue to make the best out of a situation, right? But at the end of the day, it is not as bad as some may make it sound, including myself, because it depends on the day. Like when there's extreme heat and you don't have AC in here, and let me tell you, fans aren't effective. They blow only hot air around. They circulate the air that's there. So if you've got hot air there, that's what you're circulating. If you don't have the ability to have a cross breeze, which I don't have, and you just, again, even if you have your side door open and you can't get a breeze, again, it doesn't help. All you're doing is just circulating freaking hot air. And in here, it's even hotter than it is out there. So let's say if it's 100 degrees out there, it's 120 in here. It's that type of situation. It is way hotter in here than it's out there. You got to think about so many things. You got to keep your head switched on, because again, this is one of those type of scenarios where you have to make sure that you are getting air in here and things, or you're not in the heat too long without getting enough, liquids and airflow and things like that, because it could be very dangerous to be in an environment where you don't have those things. As you guys probably know, heat stroke and all these things are real things that happen. There's carbon monoxide sensors I have in here. I bought, these right here. Actually, I've got one right here. The carbon monoxide sensors. I've got 2 in here, and they're important because, again, if you get too much carbon monoxide, it can be life-threatening. It can be a serious situation. I've had my things go off multiple times. They've been lifesavers multiple times. I've got a smoke alarm right there. Again, these are all things you have to think about in environments like this. There's depending where you're parked and situated, your situation may be even more extreme or less extreme depending on where you live in the world or where you're parked at that particular time. For example, if you're living in a cold climate, if you have to deal with snow and ice and all those things, it is a challenge times 100 again in those type of really harsh environments where it's cold. When it gets cold, it gets cold. When it gets hot, it gets hot. I've had to deal with both, and let me tell you, they are equally just stressful and can be extremely uncomfortable and unpleasant, and again, not the easiest thing for your average person to just cope with, because if you're used to living a certain way and suddenly you don't no longer have that same lifestyle, it takes a while to get used to. It's not for the faint-hearted, as they say, the faint-hearted. It's not. People have illusions of grandeur, because you watch YouTube or something and they glorify this lifestyle. They make it seem like it is something like the best thing since apple pie. And they only show you those parts that make it look like it's the best thing since apple pie. But in reality, that's about 1 to 5% of your experience. That nice little view. If you look at some of my previous videos and you see my trips that I've gone along, around to different places and stuff like that, you will see, wow, that looks glamorous, looks beautiful. Look at me cooking and the kangaroos hopping around outside, and there's this river and this beautiful view, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's so breathtaking. But then that's just like a moment. The other part of your existence in this environment is like completely opposite of that. Like it's just like it's not the easy, beautiful, amazing experience that it's made out to be, unless, again, like I said, depends on your van build and your situation and where you're living in your said build, because you could very well have a magnificent, perfect existence that isn't much, of a deviation from your real life. Maybe, if you've got a $200 million setup in your van or whatever, and you're parked in the most pleasant and beautiful place with shade and this and that, and not too hot, not too cold, hey, you might have, a different experience. But again, it also depends on you as a person. If you're someone who likes being alone, maybe you enjoy just the alone time and stuff like that. Maybe you enjoy your privacy and things. There's certain things that, again, if you're someone who just likes to read and you just like to just be alone in your own thoughts, maybe you like to meditate, maybe you like to just use that time to, again, grow and reach some sort of enlightenment. Like, there's, again, pluses to this experience, that it pushes you to really find out what you're capable of and who you are. But, right, again, these are just those moments. I think anybody, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't even matter how awesome your setup is, there's also a sense of, you know, aloneness, isolation, and different things that can come along with this experience. And also just a harsh reality that, you know, there's certain times when, you know, like I had one day when I had food poisoning and I wasn't feeling great. Actually, probably had that type of experience more than once. And let me tell you, there's certain places you don't want to be when you're feeling that kind of way, when you're not feeling well. When I had COVID, again, and how did I catch COVID? That's a story for another day, because I've told it. It's just unbelievable, because I was living in here all alone, not being part of civilization, and I managed to catch it. It's the whole story. So if you know, you know. If you don't, I might do another video on it one day. But my point is that there's certain places that you don't want to be not feeling 100% in, and probably in a van, roughing it out is one of those places. This is when a lot of van lifers go, I wasn't feeling well, so I just went and booked a hotel room. And again, depending who you are, maybe you have that ability to escape and run out of your van for a couple of days and live it up and then go back in, and it's not that hard for you. It's not that serious. But some of us, we don't have that ability, and this is what we got to deal with no matter what, through the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So I just want to paint out this realistic picture of what it's like living in a van, because I think some people have this just completely misinformed, completely disillusioned idea of what it's really like. And I could go on and on and on and on and on. And it's me from the future. Unfortunately, we had a little technical glitch once again. It happens. But if you do like band life videos and me talking about my experience, real experience living in a band, not like some people giving you their freaking make-believe, oh my gosh, it's the best thing since bye experience, well, then you go ahead, subscribe, let me know in the comments below that you want to see more, and I'll definitely make it happen. And even if you don't want to see more, you might one day realize that you want to go on one of these little adventures, and then you're going to have to refer back to my videos. So you might just say, well, you know, just in case, go ahead and make some more. So let me know in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in. As always, remember to enjoy the fullest. Keep it off tap. I'm out.
We gotta get out of here. I'll catch you guys later for another vlog.